What is up, you guys? Welcome to a new video in which I will show you how windsurfing competitions work and what you need to compete, and show you some real world scenario from my most recent national competition. Alright guys, let's talk competitions. You might not actually be at the level yet to compete yourself, but at the same time you might just think that you're not ready yet. I often get asked questions like, what gear do I need to compete? What are the requirements to compete? How do I get my own sail number? And what competition do I start at? And so on and so on. That's why in this video I want to shed some light and tell you some details about windsurfing competitions you might not know yet. Real quick before we get into it, we just recently hit 25,000 subscribers, which is a crazy milestone. Thank you for every single one of you being subscribed, liking, commenting and watching the videos. It certainly is a big help and it's an absolute pleasure to make these videos for you. More views and subscribers on this channel will help me increase the quality and quantity of these videos. And of course I want to say thank you by giving back to you in form of giveaways. And since the year is slowly coming to an end, it's time for a big giveaway, probably the biggest one so far. So stay tuned for that, and if you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe and switch the notification bell on. Obviously guys, there are hundreds of competitions all over the world, so let's try to get some order in this. International competitions are hosted by class associations, such as the Professional Windsurfers Association or the International Funboard Class Association, IFCA, or the Formula Foil Class Association, or the soon-to-be Olympic IQ Foil Class Association. And all of these are world sailing events, which means they are under the World Sailing Association. While you can theoretically become the winner of all of these world tours and world championships, it's known that the PWA World Tour is the pinnacle of windsurfing and unites the best professional windsurfers around the world. On a national level, there are usually two types of competition. The first one being official competitions, which are decided by the National Class Association and run under the Sailing Federation. In Germany, for example, the German Windsurfing Association is a part of the German Sailing Federation.
In Germany we have two windsurfing class associations. One is responsible for the longboard field and the other is responsible for the shortboard field, the German Windsurfing Association. And they are responsible for all the events that we are running. So anybody who wants to be active in this field goes to the German Windsurfing Association.
On top of those official competitions, there usually are fun competitions, which are often run by individual organizers, windsurfing clubs, or just a local group of people who just want to gather some windsurfers and have fun on the water. Those competitions are usually a great entry point to smell some regatta air without the bureaucracy that comes along with the official competitions. Okay, so we just had the inscription and the skippers meeting, and I'm about to get my gear ready. During the inscription, basically what happens is that I'm putting my name down, I'm letting them know what kind of disciplines I'm starting in. In every official competition we have a race director. The race director is here to set the course, letting us know the starting times and hold the skippers meeting. During the skippers meeting he explains what the plan for the day is and what the course will look like, etc. And then that race director has a race crew, and that race crew is basically here to execute what the race director's plan is. They're also here to take care of the rescues in case somebody breaks their gear or gets injured, etc. They put out the course and make sure everybody rounds the mark. And then on top of that you have the judge, who's basically a representative from the federation, the Sailing Federation, and he takes care that everything is run properly, run by the rules, and he will also handle the protests if there are any. And now the wind is supposed to pick up any minute and I'm gonna get my gear ready. On the foil, we usually do up and downwind courses, but in the PWA World Tour, we take the foil to the slalom course as well. Up and downwind courses means that we first gotta make our way as fast as possible to the upwind mark against the wind, and then go downwind as fast as possible. In this competition, we had to do 2 rounds around the whole course. In this kind of open course, we're not forced to make the maneuvers at set marks, but we can tactically decide on the right time and place for the tags and jibes. And the art is to make them in a place where you can just make the mark without giving any extra meters away. So the start usually is an upwind start, and since we're racing in a full fleet with everybody at once, it means it can get quite tight and busy at the start. But obviously there are a few right-of-way rules which we have to consider. So we're just done with the first 2 races, and I'm sitting in my car warming up a little bit for the next race. The first race I had a little bit of an incident which we're probably gonna have a protest hearing for later on. And yeah, now we're switching to the slalom discipline. And actually I have a little damage in my board from that incident, and I'm gonna show you, and then we'll see how the protest goes later on. So this from the crash that I just had. I just fixed it with aluminum tape. Just to seal it for now, and then here I have a little bit of paint. So yeah, that was a little bit of a fail, that first race. Before we are switching to the slalom discipline, I just had my protest hearing, and basically what happens in a protest hearing is both of the parties show what happened, and then there's a committee that decides on who's in the right, basically based on the rule book we have in this specific discipline. And in this case I was in the right because the opponent, Vincent, he crashed into me. He didn't hold his direction, I kept my direction straight. Yes, I was overtaking him, but I kept clear, and he made a move, crashed into me, and yeah, basically that's why I won. So he was disqualified, which is a shame. I'm not a big fan of protests. He shouted protest in the race, which is what you have to do in order to claim the protest, and when I hear somebody shout protest, I do the same, but I never really initiated. So yeah, I went through with it, and kind of a shame he got disqualified, so we might not get a discard in this discipline, foiling, so yeah, that would be a shame. But now we're switching to slalom. So what do you need to take part in a competition? The PWA World Tour, for example, is actually the only competition that you can't just take part, but you need to apply for a wildcard or compete in the qualification series. And for all the other competitions, you can technically just sign up online and then take part. For official competitions, however, you do need a membership with a windsurfing or sailing club, and you need a sail number with the National Class Association.
The German Windsurfing Association is also responsible for the sail numbers. They organize all the calendar, they organize the rankings, and they also take care to allocate the sail numbers to the riders. There's a sail number registration system, and riders can apply to get a sail number.
In Germany you can get, for example, any number that is available, but you need to keep in mind that this is only a permission to use that number. They will not send you that number. You will still have to go to a print shop and get your sail number as a sticker so you can put it in your sail.
If then they want to register for an event, they go to the website of the German Windsurf Cup, which is windsurfcup.de, and there they can register.
To then actually take part in the competition, you do need a starting watch, which looks and sounds like this, and obviously you need your own gear. How much gear you need to compete is probably one of the biggest concern of you guys, but I'd like to take that fear away from you. For foiling, for example, you only need one rig, around 9 square meter, a race foil and one board. And with that gear and some practice, you can cover such a big range of wind. For example, in this competition, we raced from 10 to 25 knots and 9.0 was the only sail I used. And even for slalom competitions, you just need to be prepared for the typical conditions at the spot you want to compete at. You don't need the perfect setup, and especially not for all the conditions. When I started competing at the German Windsurf Cup, I started with one board and 2 sails. Back then I was around 70 kilograms and I had a 7.8 and a 6.4 along with a 110 liter board, which I used for a whole season, and I was even able to make my first finals in these German national competitions. Guys, what I'm trying to say is you don't need to be equipped like a pro. The most basic setup will do even for slalom competitions. Hey guys, look who's here again. Just in the last video you saw this guy, and now he's preparing his GoPro. What sail size did you rig?
7.482. I think
Okay.
that should be fine.
I rigged the 7.4 and I didn't rig a second sail. Normally you're supposed to rig a couple of sails to be prepared, but I live close by and I kind of know the spot. The wind is supposed to drop, so I don't think I need smaller.
Man kann sich natürlich viel abgucken von den Älteren, man kann den Jüngeren vielleicht was zeigen, man hat eben die Gleichaltrigen, mit denen man sich wirklich betteln kann, mit denen man immer enge Fights hat.
In the slalom discipline, we usually sail on a downwind slalom course. With usually 4 jibes around set marks, it's the goal to cross the finish line before the others. With one slalom heat taking only 3 to 5 minutes, it's a lot shorter than the foil races and it makes the start extremely crucial. Besides jibing, being able to go really fast is a key in this discipline. Just like in foil racing, it's a flying start. That means the race director on the boat gives us a signal for 3 minutes before the start, which we then set on our start watch. And that's the way we know the exact moment the starting line is open and we are allowed to cross the line and make our way to the first jibing mark. The goal obviously is to cross the start line the exact moment our timer goes to 0 and with full speed. And this, guys, is a big part of the reason why slalom sailing is so much fun, because it's such an adrenaline rush. Once you're over the line too early, you're out. In slalom we run an elimination system, which is a bit similar to a football world championship. 8 to 10 racers sail against each other in so-called heats, and the better half advances into the next round or heat. The same thing repeats until you're left with the top 8 to 10 sailors in the A final. But even if you can't make it to the A final, you still get to fight out your position in the B, C, D and so forth final.
Okay, I'm just done with my heat in the qualification round and the wind picked up a lot and I came back to the beach. It's a little bit risky because they start straight with the next round, but I needed to change my sail because it got so windy, but now I gotta go out again.
In case you were unlucky and the gear broke or something went extremely wrong, there are the so-called discards. Discards allow you to get rid of your worst results. After the 3rd or 4th race, depending on the class you're racing in, your worst result will be crossed out, so you're left with your better races. In the end of the competitions, all your results will be added up, and the fewer points you have, the better your ranking is. The winner of a race is rewarded by getting 0.7 points instead of 1 point.
But what's also very important is to have fun in such an event, and I did have a lot of fun. I really kind of reached my goals. I wanted to be on the podium, and ever since I have more of a purpose beside competing, which is creating videos for you guys. Yeah, I have much more fun competing, but at the same time I still get that competitiveness, and I really like what we have going on right now. So pretty happy with that, pretty happy with the results. Super cool event, and I hope you learned a little bit in this video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like under the video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you're new here, of course, subscribe. And I would say, I see you in the next one.
Two more things, guys. If you want to get yourself one of those fluffy Surla towel hoodies for before and after your session, you can still do that on surla.eu. We're putting a lot of our profits into sustainability programs. You can read all about that on the website. And yeah, this is obviously my own brand, and everything I make from these hoodies I'm gonna put back into the brand to make better and more innovative clothing. So please make sure to check that out. And the second thing is, I was invited at Viana, the sports hotel in Portugal, which I showed you some videos for. I was invited to run a camp there. So I'm gonna put a link below the video for all the information about the camp. It's happening very, very soon. So for those of you who are spontaneous, you can come meet up with me there, and we're gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna teach you a thing or two. Bye.